So Anant, welcome to Galileo University. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
It's a real pleasure to be here, Raquel.
Thank you very much. It has been such a journey working with you at edX and the Global Consortium and reaching learners across the globe. And here we are today for, you're about to get the Doctorate Honoris Causa, which is, by the way, has been something that very few selective group of individuals, exceptional individual, has been given by Galileo University this kind of doctorate. So from the very beginning, edX said that one of their main missions was to democratize education, to reach millions of learners, to bring the best education, the best professors available for everyone. And I think edX has done a great job there. But also Galileo University has done that as well with the help of edX and with their own initiatives. So how do you feel today before this important, a doctorate degree, and during this journey of working together all these years towards the same mission of democratizing education?
I'm very excited because this year is 10 years today, 10 years since Galileo teamed up with edX in a partnership with edX. When we started edX, our vision was to reach 1 billion students all over the world through digital technology. And in the 10 years that we've been partners with Galileo, they've been very helpful. Galileo has helped us reach 1.2 million students from all over the world, from 150 countries. So it's partnerships like this that has enabled us to reach our combined goals. And in this partnership, edX is all about innovation. So we are looking for very innovative partners. And because we have very ambitious goals and a lot of innovations. And so we partner very selectively with some of the top universities in the world, not just by rankings, but by innovation. And throughout the years, Galileo has been right next to us in all of the innovations that we have been doing. When we launched MicroMasters, Galileo launched MicroMasters along with us, the MicroMasters in online education and technologies. There have been many innovations that Galileo has helped us achieve through the years.
Yeah, that has been an incredible journey. And I think also the capacity of the university has been growing quite a lot because, reaching a worldwide audience also has its challenges by itself. So it has been such a great journey, not only for the university as a whole, but for every individual that participated in the process, the professors, the media lab, all the instructional designers, teaming up with your team at edX has been such an incredible journey, and we are really grateful about that. If we go a little bit back into the whole history of edX, when you're starting a new thing back in 2012, around that area and afterwards, when you're pioneering in something new. Because at the very beginning, maybe not everybody believes about that, maybe yes, maybe not. But if you can recall about some of the challenges that you faced that you may mention now, and how did you overcome that as a whole, as an organization?
My goodness, if you talk about challenges, I don't even know where to begin.
Okay.
But when we started, as I said, the goal was to reach 1 billion people from all over the world. And how do we do that? We were a nonprofit in Cambridge, founded by Harvard and MIT. And we had a very small team. And so a big challenge was, how do we reach, when we announce a new course, how do we reach students? But sometimes some of those challenges were magically solved. When we launched our first course in circuits and electronics, my colleagues and I taught that from MIT. And we said, how do we promote that around the world? So we put that on our website, and within 1 hour, 10,000 students from all over the world had signed up for the course. And so we were very lucky that people were very hungry for online learning and education. A challenge is we had many, many challenges. We wanted to create learning that would count towards a degree. And so we said more and more students want smaller credentials. Some people want a degree, but many want smaller credentials. So we launched a MicroMasters credential, which is about 25% to 50% of a full degree. We had many challenges. Universities were very worried. They said, MicroMasters, there's masters in the name. So they were very scared to launch anything because it's got masters in the name. And this was completely online, no admissions. Anybody can come in and start learning. And so there, we overcame that challenge through partnerships like with Galileo, with MIT. All of them launched these MicroMasters programs on edX. And once 1 or 2 or 3 universities launched them, we got many other partners to launch these MicroMasters that count towards credit at the universities. So we kept overcoming challenges through these amazing innovative partnerships.
Yeah, well, it has been, it is said very shortly, but involves a huge amount of work and a lot of innovation and getting all the pieces all together at the same time. That's such a thing.
But I think the key trick, the key innovation of edX was if you look at most companies, they have a team and the team has to do innovation. But at edX, we use the trick. We said, why don't we crowdsource innovation? So we have 275 partners, MIT, Harvard, Berkeley, Oxford, Cambridge, Galileo University. They're all partners of edX. And so we were able to have this ecosystem, this set of partnerships, and everybody began to innovate with us. 1 million students came because of Galileo. Another million came because of Oxford. And similarly, through all of these partnerships today, edX has grown to more than 99 million students from every single country in the world.
Wow. Yeah.
So 1 million at a time.
That's a great, way to say it. Right. And nowadays, we're living in a kind of a transition to a new world. The technologies, especially AI, robotics, everything is changing. You are at the forefront of using AI in education. You have been doing several innovations on that regard. So how do you see these AI technologies and surrounding technologies will change the way we learn and maybe the way we educate? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're all discovering how education will look like in the future. And AI will play a huge role in all of that. AI will be used to help students, it'll be used to help faculty members. And we have to keep innovating and staying at the forefront. I'll tell you a story. I was here last year around the same time. And I visited with the online lab, GES. And there, Miguel and Rafael, yourself, and others showed me some of the AI avatar video generation tools like HeyGen and some of the other tools they were working on. I learned some of that stuff, and I went back to Boston to my colleagues and said, I learned all this amazing work happening at Galileo on AI. I said, we need to be adopting some of those tools. And so we began experimenting with those tools. And about 2 months ago, we launched a completely AI course. It's an AI course that is teaching generative AI in partnership with Georgia Tech. But in my mind, it started 1 year ago on my visit with Galileo. So we have to try to we have to keep experimenting with AI in how we can use AI to author courses, to help students in courses. So the key is going to be continuing to experiment with using AI to help both students and help both professors.
Oh, well, that's great. And it's really a pleasure to hear that you learned or you were motivated with many of the innovations that we were doing here. That's great. And I completely agree that there are many things happening. I mean, it's even too much happening around AI and surrounding topics that it's really difficult to keep up with all this stuff. But like you said, it's really important to take a decision and make new projects and try stuff and fail sometimes, but of course, try to innovate. And thinking about innovation, it has been always a challenge on how we can adapt learning paths to learners, because every learner has its own necessities at different steps of the process of learning in a given course, on a given topic. How do you see AI will help on that regard?
I think AI will help in many dimensions. In terms of helping learners, AI will help them in ways that live human beings may not be able to help. Like a learner might be working at 2 a.m. at night, and suddenly they may need some help. But they can't reach out to a human being. And on edX, we've launched an AI tutor. Mm-hmm. And a learner can come and ask the tutor for help. Right. And the tutor is a Socratic tutor in that the tutor does not answer the question immediately. When the learner asks a question, the tutor behaves like a professor. And it may ask the learner another question. Mm-hmm. And so it's a Socratic tutor. And that enables the learner to actually learn rather than to reflect and come up with the answer themselves. So that is one example, using AI to help students. We can also use AI to help professors. Today, when we do online learning, we record video of professors. Now, those videos are expensive, right, and they're hard to change. If there is a bug or a problem or an improvement, you have to go back. I have to go back to the lab and video, and it's expensive. And so many professors don't change it very much. But now, today, with AI tools, I can create avatars of myself and avatars of Professor Rodrigo, who's the dean of your engineering school, for example, and then provide a script and produce a video in minutes. And then if you want to change the script, you change it, you can produce a new video very quickly. So it becomes very easy to update and change things. And not only that, that same video can be very quickly dubbed and translated into 100 languages instantly. Not only that, you can slow the speed, increase the speed, change the accent, and enable students to really get the video customized to them. That is just one example. In the future, one of the dreams that I have is to build what I call a course zapper. What is a course zapper? So a zapper. Zapper. Like Zacapa? Okay. Zapper. Zapper, yeah. Okay. So what you do is you build a course, and then using AI, if I'm a new student, I saw this course is too difficult for me. This course takes 6 weeks, but I have only 1 week. Right. And this course is too hard. Give me a shorter version. So I zap the course and I create a customized 1-week course for myself. Right. Or an executive comes and says, I just want a 1-hour executive summary of the course. Of course. So you zap the course and you create a 1-hour executive summary. Right. So this way you can create 1 million versions of a course. Yeah. You can never do that today. So thank you very much for all this enthusiasm and insights about AI and education and the future of education. And I want to ask you something, because I heard the other day, not the other day, several times during all this new innovation wave of AI, that many people worries about AI in the sense of maybe it's increasing or widening the gap between people who has access to AI, will have much more, let's say, capabilities or tools to keep growing their life, professional lives, and so on and so forth. And the people that doesn't have access to that, that's one way to see it. But the other day, actually, like a couple of weeks ago, I heard an interview from Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, the CEO of NVIDIA,
And he was asked a similar question, and he said, actually, I see it the other way around, because AI will make technology easier and more available for everybody. So one example is that now you can create small software, small applications, just by interacting with the AI. So that's quite true. So what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree that AI, and for that matter, all great technologies and innovations, will ultimately reduce the divide among people. Mm-hmm. If you look at phones, in India, initially, when landlines were around, only the very, very rich or the very connected had a phone in their house. Getting a phone took 1 year to get a phone. And then when digital technology came around, initially the divide increases.
Right.
When new technology like phones, mobile phones come out, mobile phones are very expensive. And so initially the divide can be greater. But then very quickly over the years, the divide becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Now today, in India, everybody has a mobile phone.
The same in Guatemala. The same happening in Guatemala.
Exactly. So when landlines were around, maybe one person out of 100 had a landline. Mm-hmm. But now today, everybody has a mobile phone. Yes. So initially the gap increased, but ultimately the gap goes away. Same thing with AI, where initially the digital divide will grow because those people who are the early innovators, those people who have the money, those people who have the early adopters, they'll very quickly adopt it. But then what will happen is that once everybody learns basic things like prompt engineering or how to work with AI, everybody will be working with AI, and everybody and their grandfather will be writing code. So today, there's a certain number of people that can write computer programs, right? So who can develop software. But there will come a day in the not too distant future, but everybody will be speaking in English and writing software.
Right, right.
So that will reduce the digital divide over the longer term.
Yeah, well, that's a great perspective. And I think it's very important to have such perspective, because otherwise you may fill yourself with fear about the changes and so on and so forth. Of course, there will be a lot of uncertain things, but that always happens with innovation and with new technologies. Another thing, talking about the next decade, looking forward to the next decade. For instance, 5 years ago, we had the pandemic. Actually, in Galileo University, before the pandemic, only 5% of our students were online. And after the pandemic, when it finished, because we did it so well on online learning and we have all the infrastructure and capacity and teams, we were able to keep having the students, the majority of students online, because they choose to, not because we forced them, because they choose to, because it was better for them in many ways. So about 70% of our students are online or remaining online after the pandemic. So that has been such a success, because it has helped us to increase our reach and so on and so forth. But having that as an example, among many, of course, what will be your view for the next 10 years on education and the next transformations that are happening? Something that you may have in mind?
I think what you're seeing at Galileo is what will happen everywhere. Before the pandemic, around the world, only 1 or 2% of students were doing anything in digital or online learning. During the pandemic, 100% of people went online for digital learning. But then, after the pandemic, some of the universities like Galileo continued doing the digital education because it is very good for students. And so at Galileo, as you said, 70% of students have continued to learn, and Galileo has increased access. In many other universities around the world, unfortunately, they went backward.
Yes.
During the pandemic, it went to 100%, but after the pandemic, they pulled back and it became very small. That was very unfortunate. My hope and belief is that over the next 5 to 10 years, people will open up their doors and really embrace online and digital learning. And more places will become like Galileo, where a significant fraction of students are learning online. And frankly, I see a future of hybrid learning, or blended learning, where whether you are at university or whether you're learning outside, you will be combining in-person learning with online learning. So even if you're coming to a campus, you will be spending some of your time learning completely online. Because many studies have shown that the blended learning model that combines in-person and online is better for learning outcomes than purely in-person learning.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yes, I think we will see an increase on online learning everywhere. And I think that's for the better of humanity in general. And also, we can also foresee that a new component will come with AI is having your own agent for learning, your own personal agent that will kind of follow you through your life and learn what you learn, how you learn, and keep you helping through the whole process. If we think about all the innovation that has happened within edX, so for instance, you just mentioned the MicroMasters or the professional certificates, or we were just talking about this agreement that we have with MIT, where we have in Galileo University, we have a master's degree in data science. And if they do 1 year here, they can do 1 year in the MicroMasters, online MicroMaster from MIT about data science. And if they combine both, we award them with the master's degree in data science. So how do you see, taking all these examples and experiences and innovations, how do you see the degrees will evolve through the time in the next 10 years or so?
Look, I think there's two very powerful forces that are coming together. One is AI, and second is online learning. And the two are going to completely change the way that people think and learn. You mentioned everybody will have their own agent. So what does that mean? So when I go to my class, I can send my agent to class. So as a human being, what does that mean for me as a human? Will my agent keep learning everything and I don't learn anything? So what do I do? So I think we have some very fundamental philosophical questions when I can send my agent to class and my agent is learning and doing all my work. So as a human, we need to really understand and figure out what is the value that we are adding to society. Or do we get to a society where humans simply do nothing and just have fun all day and their agents go out and do all the work? So as a society, we have to figure out what is it that we want? What is it that we as humans want? How do we want to contribute to humanity? How do we want to live ourselves? So AI brings some very fundamental questions. But then back to online learning, one of my visions with that is the creation of what I call a Lego degree. So today, a student comes to Galileo or goes to MIT and spends 1 year, 2 years, 4 years and gets a degree. My dream is that we will create more degrees that look like Lego blocks. Imagine a student could say, oh, today I feel like going to Galileo, and they spend 1 semester at Galileo and complete some credits here. Then they learn online, maybe they do a MicroMasters in data science from MIT. And then maybe they do a micro-credential from London School of Economics in mathematics.
Right.
And then they're learning online. Maybe they go and do a course from IBM on business applications of AI. Right. So they, like Lego blocks, they complete these pieces of learning. And in the end, they get a degree. The degree may come from Galileo, the degree may come from some university, but the whole experience is like a quilt built out of these little pieces that are all tied together in a single whole called a degree. To me, but that would be very exciting for the world and for students, where they could have very, very rich experiences.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow, yes. I think that's what we are seeing already. I think Students want shorter duration of degrees and also be more flexible and more adaptable to the challenges they are facing or the interests that they have, and so on and so forth. So that's a great perspective.
No, in fact, the other thing students want is many students and companies feel students shouldn't study for 4 years and then go get a job. Because learning should be integrated with work. So maybe they do a semester at Galileo, they go and work, and at work they find out, oh my goodness, I now need to learn some accounting and finance because I have to manage people, so maybe I need to go learn some finance. And so they go and do a microbachelor's or something in accounting. Mm-hmm. And so when they continue working and learning at the same time, where the two are much more integrated than how it is today, where you learn and then you go and work.
Right.
And so oftentimes what you learn may not be applicable to your job. So right. This way, you are learning as you go, and you make sure that what you learn is important for work.
Right. It means relevant.
Relevant and just in time.
Yes, and you can apply it and learn even more.
Yes.
You're applying.
No, and you're motivated to learn.
Yes.
Because today when
you're
students...
solving real challenges.
Yes. Today when students come to my class at MIT, they come and say, why should I learn about the differential equations? It's too hard. I don't want to learn about differential equations. But then, if I'm working and I have a problem at my work, right. And then I say, look, you need to learn this to solve the problem, then they will learn that.
Of course. That then is more tangible for everybody when you are applying or you need to apply and you're facing a real world challenge. Yeah, I think we are moving to that. And just to add a little bit about what you said, the philosophical question on what we're gonna do next. Well, I've been thinking a little bit about that, and certainly in the world, there are many, many problems to solve. Global problems, or even problems in our own village, personal lives, and so on. So I think human creativity will find its way, and we will have AI helping us on many of the things that maybe we don't have enough time to deal with right now.
I really like that, where maybe if all of humans have a lot more time on their hands,
yes,
maybe they can focus on pressing problems
yes.
that can help humanity, for which there may not be funding today,
right.
or they may not have the time to solve today.
Right. Or even you haven't seen yet because you are too busy with
You're too busy with day-to-day living.
Yes.
That if my agent can solve my day-to-day living, maybe I can now begin thinking about what are some of the deep and fundamental humanistic problems that I need to go solve.
Yeah, that's completely true. And following on that, what will be your recommendation for professors everywhere to stay on top of these new technologies while keeping their classes and their knowledge and their research? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm a big believer that everybody should become a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. When the industrial age happened, you could go and study for a few years, and then you went and did the same thing on an assembly line for your whole life. And then you got a pension from Ford or General Motors, and that's it. That was life. But today, technology is changing so fast that you have to keep learning. Same for professors. You cannot teach the same thing for more than a few years. And you have to keep learning and update what you're teaching as you go along. So whether you're a professor or an engineer or an accountant or a doctor, you have to keep learning because everything is changing so fast. So I think this concept of learning while working is very important. I also think that micro-credentials are very important. These small Lego-like credentials that yes. I can be earning throughout life. That is why online learning is very important, because if I'm a doctor and I'm working in Guatemala City and I need to learn something new, I don't think I can go to university for 1 year and learn something. Maybe I can spend 4 hours and learn something online very quickly. So digital learning will become even more important as people have to keep upskilling and upgrading throughout their lives.
Right. And along those lines, what will be your main recommendation for students? Maybe students that are just about to enter the university for their first degree, or even for students that are considering a specialization at a postgraduate or a master's degree, what will be your recommendations in light or taking into account these new technologies, AI, and so on?
It's very hard to give students advice because unless it can help them solve an immediate problem, it's very hard for us to, I was a student too, of course, it's very hard to motivate yourself to do it. But my advice for students, I would give 3 pieces of advice. One would be get a broad education and learn the fundamentals of many things. Don't get too specialized. Learn humanities, learn mathematics, learn finance, learn soft skills. Learn at least something about everything, because who knows what the future will look like. The second piece of advice that I have for students would be learn to learn online. Because even learning online, learning digitally, requires special skills. So learn to learn online. And we have courses on how to learn online. It's not very hard. You should learn how to learn online because that will help you become a lifelong learner. Then the third thing is, because of all the advent of AI, it's become very easy for students to just go, I'll go ask ChatGPT. Any problem, let me go ask ChatGPT. My third advice would be, try not to do that. Try to think for yourself. Right. And try to, at least in the more basic courses, try to solve the problem yourself. Yeah. It's like when calculators came out, many students said, I don't need to add and subtract anymore. I don't have to learn that. The problem is that even if you have calculators, when you and I are talking and are discussing or negotiating in business, if I cannot do quick mental math, I cannot do business. Right. Because in conversations in business, in work, we are doing mental math all the time. And if I have to pull out a calculator, if you and I are negotiating the price of something, if I can do mental math and you cannot do mental math, I will be a much better negotiator than you are. Right. And so we have to learn the basics.
You have to have the fundamentals.
You have to have the fundamentals. And so try not to go to a ChatGPT, get the fundamentals first. So those would be my 3 pieces of advice for all students.
Such great advice, I think. When people see it online and elsewhere, they will be really, they will take a lot for themselves. Thank you for that. And finally, you're about to get this honorary degree from Galileo University, and you have had such an extraordinary career, and still going, of course, but through being a professor in MIT, doing innovations, startups, and then edX, global reach, and so on and so forth. So maybe my question here right now is, what gives you hope about the future of learning?
I take a lot of hope from history. People keep saying that, when this technology comes, that will be the end of the human civilization. What are we going to do? But if you look throughout the decades and centuries, many new technologies came. The steam engine replaced the horse carriage. The internet and the browser and search replaced libraries. So we had innovation after innovation, technology after technology come. And the human civilization adapted, and we continued. And each of these technologies had a democratizing effect, which means that everybody improved, everybody's lives improved. And so that gives me a lot of hope as AI and new technologies come out, online learning comes out as a new learning technology, that this will help everybody. That's my hope.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you. And Anant, again, thank you very much for this time, for this interview. And looking forward to keep interacting with you and collaborating with you in the future.
Same here. Really look forward to continuing a collaboration with you and your team and Galileo University.
Thank you very much.